I'm kind of curious how Kitty's gonna show her thing. Whoa, that sounded wrong.
Where the sexy robot party, everybody's disco dancing. Where the sexy robot party, everybody's disco dancing.
This whole week on MSThK, we were talking jobs. I, for one, didn't know what to do when I came out of high school, so I pretty much held a lot of jobs, like during my time period. I was a junior geologist, worked at McDonald's. I was a line assembly worker in a bakery with my dad. And because of that job, I was accounts receivable and accounts payable at the same bakery. When I ended up graduating university with a marketing degree, I actually went into HR for a trucking company first. And yeah, worked at Gap for like quite a while. I, the thing is, people are so down on retail, but it's quite an experience to work for there. You'll learn either one of two things. You'll really like it, or you'll learn that you never want to ever work in retail because of it. And I guess this would all like tie into Linda's vlog from the Totes Awesome channel, where she was looking for her calling, her for her career path. And I guess all of us are looking for that one thing. I mean, there are very few of us who actually just come straight out of junior high or high school and actually decide this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. I mean, coming out of high school, I wanted to be in the computer science fields because, well, mainly because of the money and job security. But after going through my first two courses of computer sciences, I figured this wasn't for me. So, I mean, I had to talk to a few friends and actually transferred some of my courses into the commerce field, where I can actually graduate with a marketing degree. Because I was all into the whole Super Bowl advertising, like, take over Madison Avenue type attitude back then. But the thing is, right now I'm in the radio industry writing commercials, so there is some tie-ins to that. So even if one career doesn't pan out the way you think it would, I mean, there's bound to be some type of trickle effect to lead you to where you're going to be right now. Because right now I'm in the radio industry writing commercials for a whole bunch of stations. And the path that I took there wasn't exactly, it was fluke essentially how I got to where I am today. Essentially I was working in retail full time after the whole HR job didn't really pan out because the company essentially went belly up. And with the amount of student loans and bills I had to pay, I mean, I was very limited in choice. But the thing is, if I hadn't worked at Gap, I wouldn't have met Deb Matejka, who was working at The Score at the time, which is a sports network in Canada here. And what Deb did was, she was a correspondent for the Calgary Flames after the games and stuff. I mean, when she shopped at the Gap, I mean, I joked around with her. I mean, because she was like a queen at the time to me. Hot girl doing Flames broadcasts. Cool. I mean, I told her I was interested in getting into like the media type broadcasting. And she told me, why don't you tag along and see if any of this type of stuff interests you. And I was like, okay. So our first assignment was the 2004 World Junior Camp, which Dion Phaneuf was part of, as well as a whole bunch of like future NHL stars. I mean, some of the little things Deb did was leave me with the microphone and the cameraman to run out to her vehicle to grab her cell phone, which I think was a concocted story for me to just jump into the media scrum, which I did, and hell, that was fun. I think I was one of the first people to interview Dion Phaneuf before he became an NHL mainstay. And talking to Deb a little bit more, I found out she had to take media broadcasting in order to get to the field that she went into. And I actually made a few more contacts in the whole media field because she actually introduced me to a whole bunch of the media personnel there. So after doing retail full time for about 2-3 years, it was about time for me to change things up. So I ended up calling Upstate to see if I can get into the radio program, and so they essentially gave me some steps on how to break into it, which was kind of unfair to the applicants because I don't think they did the same thing I did. I mean, I took the night radio production class, and when it came time for me to actually apply for the 2-year radio program, I did, and those little experiences, talking to Deb, doing the production class, and just surrounding myself with all these media people as contacts, it really helped secure my bid into getting into the radio program. So I took the radio program on the pretense that I wanted to do on-air broadcasting for the rest of my life. Sports radio mainly. But a part of me fell in love with the production side, just being able to create stuff and just have a tangible thing that you can like be proud of. For the longest time in year one, I was leaning away from the on-air segments and leading towards the production segments. And then all of a sudden, bam, Louise came in, and my writing instructor, and pretty much changed my entire life around. She was able to recognize what I was able to do putting words on paper, and she really wanted to push me towards that direction in the creative field in writing commercials and promos and whatever. So for a year and a half, that's where my focus was, just writing stories, writing commercials. So too long didn't read. I met some media personalities. They drove me into the radio field. I wanted to be an announcer. Announcer didn't turn out, so I went to production. Production was fine, but I fell more in love with the writing side, so here I am. And the thing is, I entered really late in my career. I mean, I was a good 27 years old before I decided I wanted to do this for the rest of my life, and didn't actually start my career until I turned 29. So there's a lot of time for you guys out there, so, you know, take your time. I mean, you might think that you're going to be stuck in a situation where your career isn't going to take off, or you're in the wrong career, or whatever the situation is. But with a little networking and some self-discovery and just a little luck, you're bound to have stories like me. I'm kind of curious to see how Kitty tomorrow came to the career she's at right now. We'll see you guys next week.